solve such problems, we have to now check three conditions. Condition for being reflexive, being symmetric, and being transitive. So for reflexive, what we have discussed is that every element of a set, right, should be related to itself. So we'll check whether it is correct or not. So what is the restriction here? What is the condition here? That a minus b should be divided by 2. If a and b are two different, a and b are two numbers connected by this relation, then their difference must be divisible by 2. So now check for a minus a, I mean a. So a minus a is equals to 0, and 2 divides 0. Why? Because 0 divided by 2 is equals to 0. So this means this is reflexive. Second property, whether it is symmetric or not. So symmetric means if AB is there, then BA should also be there in the relation, right? So if AB is there, that means what? A minus B is divisible by 2. So if A minus B is divisible by 2, what is B minus A? B minus A is equals to minus of A minus B. So that is also divisible by 2. So this means that B comma A also belongs to same relation. So based on these, what can I say? That it is symmetric as well. Now what is transitive? Transitive means if A and B are related or belongs to R, and B and C also belong to R. So what does it mean? This means that A minus B is divisible by 2n. So now let's write it mathematically. A minus B divisible by 2 is nothing but saying A minus B is equals to some 2 into n. And B minus C, that is also divisible by n, divisible by 2. That means that is also equals to 2 into some say other multiple m. Right? Now what do we have to find? If it is transitive, we also have to find what about A and C, whether they belong to this relation or not. So from the above two, what is A minus C? A minus C is nothing but A minus B minus B minus C. No, that will become A plus C. So A minus C will be this, A minus B plus B minus C, right? Now what is A minus B? It is 2n. What is B minus C? It is 2m. So what is A minus B? It is 2m plus n. So that is also a multiple of 2. That means A minus C is also divisible by 2. So this means A minus C also belongs to the relation R. Right? That means A comma C also belongs to R. So from this, we conclude that it is transitive as well. So we have a relation now which is reflexive, symmetric, as well as transitive. So that means what? This relation is equivalence relation. So that's what equivalence relations are, and that's how you have to solve problems of this type. Equivalence relation in the above example. We have, what was the relation? Relation was that this relation will contain A comma B ordered sets such that A minus B is divisible by 2, right? So that was our relation. And if we list out the elements, what will be that? Say for example, if A is 0, then 0, 2 as well as 0 minus 2. So 0 plus minus 2 belongs to this, or better just write 0, 2 and 0 minus 2, right? Same way 0 and 4 are also related, and 0 and minus 4 are also related. 0 and 6 related, 0 and minus 6 also related, and so on. And it's not like only 0. Even if I take 1, then 1 and 3 are related, and 1 and minus 3 are also related. So 1 and 3 related because the difference is minus 2. 1 and minus 3 is related because difference is 4. So whether it is minus 2 or 4, both are divisible by 2. Same way with 1, we'll have 5 or minus 5, or with 1 we'll have 7 or minus 7, and so on. So actually all even integers are related to 0 and all odd integers are related to 1. And when all even integers are related to 0, as you can see here, with 0 you have 2, minus 2, 4, minus 4, 6, minus 6. So you'll have 8, minus 8, 10, minus 10. And with this 1, you have 3, minus 3, 5, minus 5, 7, minus 7, and so on. But with 0, there cannot be any even integer. There can be only even integer. There cannot be any odd integer. Same way with 1, there can be only even integers. Odd integers. There cannot be any even integers. Okay, so now here, and these are not the only elements. There are many others. So like this, we have multiple entries or multiple ordered pairs which will satisfy this relation. Now there are few properties or few things here which we have to observe. That is, suppose the set E is of all even integers. Suppose we have a set E having all even integers, and set O having all odd integers. So these E and O actually are subset of Z, where Z is subset of integers. So E is a subset of integers, odd is subset of integers, or we can say that E is actually equals to, or we'll come to this later. So between E and O, all elements of E are related to each other and all elements of O are related to each other. That is the first property which we have seen, that all elements of E are related to each other. Same way, all elements of O are also related to each other, right? Take any two odd numbers that will be related to each other under this relation, right? For example, you think of anything, say 4 comma 14, they both are even integers. So 4 minus 14 is minus 10, and minus 10 is divisible by 2. So they are related. That is the first point. Second point is that no element of E is related to any element of O under this relation, and vice versa, right? So 0 comma 3 not related, 1 comma 2 not related. So if you take one from even and one from odd, they are not related. They does not belong to this relation. And the third, E and O are disjoint. That means there is nothing common in between them. So there is nothing common in these two sets, plus the sets, right? Between them, there is no relation. One element, I mean, if you choose one element from set A, you have to choose another element from the same set. If you choose from any other set, they won't be related, right? And all of the elements of set A are related with one of the elements of the same set. That is the first property. So these three properties are the things which is special here. And the subset E, that is this, is called equivalence class containing 0 and is denoted by, so this subset which is E, this E is a subset of Z, and this is called equivalence class containing 0, because it also has 0 in it, and this will be denoted by 0. So what is O? O is equivalence class containing 1. So this will be related or denoted as this. So what are E and O? E is a set which has, you can say, all even integers, and O is the set of all odd integers. And when they are having three conditions or properties like this, the two sets are disjoints, two sets are no element of E is related to any element of other set, then in such cases, we'll say that we have found two equivalence classes, one containing 0 and another containing 1, and we represent it in this way. Okay, and what do we have? We have this, that this equivalence class of 0 or equivalence class containing 0 is not equal to equivalence class containing 1. Okay, and equivalence class of 0 actually contains twice of R, that is a real number, and equivalence class of 1 contains 2R plus 1, that is odd number of terms. I mean odd elements as there. members. So this, whatever we have seen, is actually true for an arbitrary equivalence relation R. Any equivalence relation R, we will have these three factors which we have seen above. So given an arbitrary equivalence relation R in an arbitrary set X, if you have a relation R, so R is a relation which is an equivalence relation. So R is an arbitrary equivalence relation R in an arbitrary set X. So there is some set X on which this is an equivalence relation. So what are the properties of this equivalence relation? This equivalence relation will actually divide X into disjoint sets. This equivalence relation divides set X in, we can say, mutually disjoint subsets. As you can see here, the two subsets are one subset of even numbers and another subset of odd numbers. So when you divide a set into two disjoint subsets, we say that we have got two partitions. So for a partition, a division has to happen and there should not be anything common. It should be a mutually disjoint subset. So when this equivalence relationship is there, or equivalence relation is there, it will actually divide the given set into mutually disjoint subsets. Now these subdivisions or partitions of X will satisfy few things or properties. That is, first, as we have seen above, all elements of one partition are related to each other. All elements in one partition are related to each other. Second, there cannot be any cross relations. That is, no element AI is related to AJ. That is second class, where, as it is given, I is not equal to J. So if two sets are different, one element from one set cannot be having any kind of relation with the second set's elements. Okay, so that was the second condition. And what was third condition? These two sets are disjoint sets. Disjoint means there is nothing common between in these two sets. That is, AI intersection AJ is equals to null. Nothing is related. And when you combine them, you will get your original set, of which these two are the partitions. right? So we said equivalence class containing 0 and equivalence class containing 1. So now the another interesting point of this situation is that we can go in the reverse direction also. That is, if you consider two subdivisions of set Z, or say three subdivisions of a set Z by three mutually disjoint subsets. So this was when it is an equivalence relation, then the set will be divided into mutually disjoint subsets. That we understood. Now the second part is reverse of this. And what is that? Suppose you have three relations. All defined independently. So Z belongs to Z such that X Z belongs to Z such, sorry, X belongs to Z element here belongs to Z such that X is a multiple of 5 or 3. Suppose if it is 3. So what does it mean? It means that A1 is equals to -6, -3, 0, 3, 6. So that is A1. Same way A2, suppose for this we have a different situation. And what is that? Suppose it says X belongs to Z such that X minus 1 is a multiple of 3. Same way, the last one is again similar. X belongs to Z such that X minus 2 is multiple of 3. Yeah, so now we have this A1, A2, A3, where we have these three are actually divisions of Z. So we have multiple of X minus 1 as multiple of 3, X minus 2 as multiple of 3, and we also have X as multiple of 3. So these three things now actually combine all the real numbers. If we have a relation given as yeah, so what we have here is the three sets or three subsets of Z we have, and the three subsets have these elements. So if you see X is multiple of 3, so you have all multiples of 3. Then you have X minus 1 as multiple of 3. That means you have all those elements which give 2, which give 1 as remainder if we divide it by 3, and then something which gives us 2 as remainder when divided by 3. So if you divide something by 3, you will get either 0, 1 or 2 as remainder. So by adding these three, we have actually combined, we have actually made three partitions in the integers. That is a partition like this, this, and this, where this is multiple of 3, say 3r, this is multiple of 3 plus 1, and this is multiple of 3 plus 2. There can be only these 3 partitions. So what is our, so these 3 are 3 different partitions, right? Okay, now suppose R is the relation, R is the relation in Z such that R is equals to sum A comma B, I mean set of A comma B, such that 3 divides A minus B, or I'll say A minus B is divisible by 3. Okay, so now if I say this, that this A minus B is divisible by 3. Now under this relation, if we follow the same arguments which we saw earlier, we can show that R is an equivalence relation. That is A comma A will be divisible by 3. A minus A will be divisible by 3, so it is reflexive. If A minus B is divisible by 3, B minus A will also be divisible by 3, so that makes it symmetric. And if A minus B is divisible by 3, B minus C is divisible by 3, then A minus C will also be divisible by 3. That makes it transitive. So it is all of these 3, that is reflexive, symmetric, and transitive. So if that is the case, what does that that say about R? That it is an equivalence relation. So now we know that R is an equivalence relation. Now if we see A1, so A1 is it coincides with the set of all integers in Z which are related to 0. So A1 elements we have already mentioned there. A2's elements will be what? It will be 1, because 1 minus 1 is multiple of 3. So it will be actually 1. Then it will be 4, because 4 minus 1 is multiple of 3. Then it will be 7, and so on. On the left hand side, you will have again say minus 2, because minus 2 minus 1, that is minus 3, is multiple of 3. So we have minus 2, we have minus, so 1 minus 3 is minus 2, minus 2 minus 3, that is minus 5. So like this, A2 will contain these elements. And what will be there in A3? A3 will have 2, right? 0, 1, 2. 2 plus 3, 5. 5 plus 3, 8. 2 minus 3, minus 1. Minus 1 minus 3, minus 4, and so on. So only these things are possible. Now if we see A1, if we take 0, 3, 0 minus 3, 0, 6, 0 minus 6, so all these are related, or all these belong to A. If we now take 2 elements from A2, so what I'm saying is, if I say A1, so all elements in A1 are related to each other, right? You can take any 2 and we start from 0. So 0 plus minus 3, 0 plus minus 6. So they all are related to each other. Come to A2. And not just this, they all are related. And what do we have? What we have already seen is this. Before going to that, the second property, that is, if you take 0 from first and say 1 from second, they are not related. 0 minus 1 is not divisible by 3. And obviously the third condition, that is A1 and A2 and A3 are disjoint sets, which we have already seen here. So now these three different sets, A1, A2 and A3, they are the partitions of, you can say, set Z under relation R. So that's why we say that there is an equivalence class now A1, which is an actually equivalence class of 0. Then there is A2, which is an equivalence class of 1, and A3, which is equivalence class of 2. Actually, not just 0, 1, 2. A1 can be anything equivalence class. Same way A2 will be equivalence class of 3R plus 1, and A3 will be equivalence class of 3R plus 2. So that is what equivalence classes are. So that was about equivalence class and equivalence relation. Let's solve or see one more example to understand this clearly. Let R be the relation defined in the set A, and set A is given as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it has only 7 entries. And R is also must be given, that is, it contains relations AB or ordered pairs AB such that both A and B are either odd or even. So either both are odd or both are even. So we have to show that this R is an equivalence relation. So for that, and further we have to show that all the elements of subset, we basically will be identifying the equivalence classes later. So first things first, we have to actually prove that this relation is an equivalence relation. So first see whether A comma A belongs to R or not. So it says both A and B are either odd or even. So that means this is reflexive. Okay, next move to second part, that is symmetry. So if A comma B belongs to R, so what does it mean? Both A and B are either odd or even. So both are, that means either odd or even. So this also means that even B comma A belongs to R. So this makes it symmetric. So we have proved that this is reflexive and symmetric. What is next? Next we have to prove that A comma B, if that belongs to R, and B comma C that also belongs to R, then A comma C will also belong to R. So it's very clear from first one, it means that both A and B are either odd or even. And B comma C means, so if we combine them, what can we say about AC? So they are also so that simply means A comma C also belongs to R. So from the above three things, we can say that this is an equivalence relation. So that we have proved. Now the second part of this is show that all the elements of the subset. Now there are two subsets. One subset is of 1, 3, 5, 7, and another subset is of 2, 4, 6. So these are two different subsets. Now we have to show that this elements of first subset are related to each other, and all elements of subset are related to each other, but no elements of first subset is related to any element of second subset. So our relation is this, that both are even or both are odd. So here we can see, because this is of odd numbers, so this will always, if you take 2, both will be always odd numbers. So that means this satisfies its condition, right? So 1 and 3 will be related, 1 and 5 will be related, 1 and 7 will be related, 3 and 5 will be related, 3 and 7 will be related, and 5 and 7 will be related. That is from first. Same way here, 2, 4 related, 4, 6 related, 2, 6 related, and so on. But so that is the first part. Second part, 1 and 2. Because one is from this group and second is from this set. So they are not related. And what was the third condition of equivalence class? Is this, that all are disjoint, both are disjoint sets. So that we know that these are disjoint sets. So from all this, what can we conclude? So what we can conclude is that this is an equivalence class, right? So all elements of 2, 4, 6 are related to each other, and all these things we have seen. So from this, obviously we can say that the whatever we have got here, right? So that is an equivalence class. Done. So that is about equivalence class and equivalence relation. And next we'll see different types of functions. So before going to types of functions, let us revise what we have already seen about functions in the previous video. So suppose these are two sets, and here we are showing relations like this. So this is from set A to set B. This is the first set. So this set is called domain, and this set is called codomain. But right now, this is not a function. Why it is not a function? Because of this element which is left here. So in functions, we have seen that in relation, if it is left, still it is a relation. But in functions, we have seen that every element of first set must have an image, which here we can see that this red dot has no image. So this is not a function. Now let's see one more example. So there are two elements in first set, and all of them, both of them have an image. Suppose there is one more. So all of them have an image. But again, if you see this one, it actually has two images. And because of this, again, this is not a function. So what is a function? In function, an element, or sorry, all the elements in the first set, that is the domain, all elements in the first set must be having some images. They must have some image, right? So then this, in this first set, in the domain, there should not be any element without an image. And all images should be unique. I mean, all elements of domain must have an image, and that image should be unique, that is non-duplicate. What does that mean? That here, this thing, it should not violate this, that one image is having, one element is having two images. That is not allowed. Now, based on this, even functions can be divided into few types. Let's see them one by one. So we'll try to explain it by this image only. Okay, so now if you see these four different categories, which we have, in four different type of possibilities in which a function can exist. So these are the only forms in which a function can exist, and all are functions, right? Say this is our type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4. So here, this is actually divided into categories. This is one, four different categories. If we see here the division, so in the top two functions, there is one similarity. So we'll first see the similarities. What is that similarity? There is an element left here. There is an element left here in the codomain, right? So such function, and that is possible in a relation. In a function, there should not be anything left in the domain, but in codomain, there can be an element without a pre-image in the pre-image. So that is possible. So this part which we see, that is above the red line, let us name it or give it some name, and that is called into function. So these two functions are, or these two types are into. So into is when you have something left in the codomain without a pre-image. And here it is just opposite. All elements of the codomain have a pre-image. So here we'll say this type is actually called onto functions. Now the division on left and right. So one which is on the left hand side and one which is on the right hand side. Again, there is some similarity. The right hand side has the two which we see on the right hand side, that has a similarity. That is, two elements are sharing one image. And we don't have to confuse between this and what we have seen earlier. Here one element has two image, that is not allowed. But two elements can have same image, but one element having only one image. That's what we had said in the restriction, that one element should have only one image. So if we consider that, there is no issue. So, but the only thing here is two or more than two elements may share one image. So two or more may share one image, or you can say the mapping is from many in first to one in second, many in domain to one in codomain. So this category that is on the right hand side, that is called many to one. And the one which is on the left hand side, there is no many to one, so that is called one to one. How we read it? One to one. Right? So now we have two types of dividing or making divisions or classification, and in both the two types we have two subtypes. So you can see in into, I mean, based on the codomain, whether all the elements have a pre-image or not, we have divided into two, that is into and onto. And based on the elements in domain, that is domain and codomain mapping, that is whether it is one related to only one or many related to one, we have two categories, that is one and many one. So total there are now four combinations. So this function, which is the first one which we see here, this first one is actually 1 and into. This is 1 into function. Same way, this is many to one into function. This one is many to one onto function, because in codomain there is no element left without a pre-image, and this one will be called 1 onto function. So these are the four total divisions, that is 1 into 1 onto, many one into, and many one onto. Now why this is important? This is important to understand next concept, which is concept of inverse functions. So here you can see yourself that if the mapping is reversed, that is right now we are having from left to right, if we have from right to left, then which inverse mapping is a function? So if we see the first one, right? So the first one, if I imagine or if I consider the mapping from right to left, so what I see is, so if the mapping is reversed, then that means now this will be our domain, the first set, and this will become the codomain when we are reversing the order, when we are doing it like this. And if that is the case, this element has a image, this element has an image, this element has an image, but this element won't have any image. And function definition is that all elements in a domain, the restriction or condition for a relation to be a function is that all elements in the domain must have an image. So that means here that is not possible. So we'll say that inverse is not possible. Same way here, one element here it is left without any image, and plus one element has more than two image. So here we'll say, here also we see that inverse is not possible. Same way here we have an element with more than one image. So here also inverse is not a function or not possible. But if we see here, inverse is possible. So what we see here is that this is the only case, the last one, the 1 1 on 2. This is the only case when we will have a inverse possible. So that's why this is an important classification. Okay, so that is about different types of functions and their importance as well, why these types are important. So in that we saw that the 1 1 on 2 is an important type, and that is very important for us.